Welcome to the Grow Your Business and Grow Your Wealth podcast with Gary Heldt. Gary is an expert in helping business owners put together a plan that will provide a better future for their businesses, themselves, and their families. On the podcast, Gary interviews other professionals who share his vision, and together they share secrets and strategies any business owner can use to build a better financial foundation for your business and your life.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today, my guest is Enzo Pellegrino. He's the founder and president of TLWM Financial. Welcome, Enzo.
Hi, Gary. Thanks for having me.
So tell us some about yourself and what got you into the financial market.
Sure. My name is Enzo Pellegrino. I founded TLWM in 2005, and I began my career as a financial advisor in the year 2000. And so 22 years into the business, here I am. I'm a CFP. What really motivated me to get into the business is not necessarily the reason why I stayed in the business. Started as a young professional. In college, 1999 was all the rage, and the stock market was all the rage. And so that really brought my attention to finance and the world of investing. And then when I got into the business and started doing internships and working, I was fortunate enough to find myself in a more of a financial planning based practices to start with and learning. And what I really learned was the importance of relationships and taking care of people, and ultimately making sure that that the people on the other side of the table you're treating just as you would want to be treated. And that's what keeps me in the business today. That's what drives us. That's what makes us excited about waking up here at TLWM, is taking care of people.
Great. So what are some of the questions that you wish that the clients coming in would ask you when you first meet with them before they become clients?
I think that's a great question. Some of the questions, and probably one of the biggest questions that we hardly ever get asked, and I always remind people to think about, is what is your investment philosophy, and what is your process for staying in communication and staying up to date with my life as an individual, or what are you going to do to take care of me, not just in the beginning, but throughout the relationship?
Right.
So at TLWM, we're fairly unique because our investment philosophy is one that believes in when things are going well, we adhere to a buy and hold approach with some overweights to sectors that we think are doing okay. But times like now, when we think that the economy is either headed into recession or going to be in recession or in recession, we believe that taking what's your growth portion of the portfolio, we believe in trying to protect it so you not just so you can sleep at night, but more importantly, from our perspective, it's like building up a war chest. If you can protect your portfolio and the market drops 10, 15, 20, 30% over a 6-12 month period, you're going to have more assets to potentially buy in at lower prices. And so for us, we believe we stand out in the crowd because while we look at things and remind clients that this is 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road, here's where we're headed. If we don't believe the market is a profitable place to be in the next 6 to 12 months, we don't think that you should stand in front of a train and try to get hit. So we definitely believe in trying to protect, trying to buy low and sell high, not day to day, not week to week, when there is a potential recession or very concerning economic environment. So that's in regards to the investment philosophy. Communication is ultimately extremely important. Number one, it's important for people to understand what's going on in the world, what's going on in their accounts. But from a planning perspective, because we're very planning focused here at TLWM, we need to make sure that the client is doing okay, everything is going right in their life. If there's changes, Let's adapt and adjust to them right then and there instead of waiting 6 to 12 months for a review to take place. So constant communication is very key. I think those are the two things that people want to know about, but for some reason those questions don't tend to come up in meetings.
Right. I know that you say that, okay, look, we're not going to necessarily wait until 3-6 months, whenever their annual review or whatever is scheduled for. But I mean, with some of the fears that people are having, obviously with the market right now, and other things, I mean, what are some of the things that you guys do to help them overcome those fears?
Yeah, I don't think we have any magic tricks outside of just treating people the way that you would want to be treated, being real with people. That's always put us, and it's always been the way that I've ran the business and we've grown the business. We're 99% referral based. We've always grown by trying to take care of people and doing the right thing. And then if they're in a position that their friends or family or coworkers need help, that we ask them to send them to us. Now, that being said, what makes us really different, and one of the reasons our clients are really, I would think in general, I think in really decent shape from my perspective, is because some time ago within many of our portfolios, we did get really defensive within accounts. And I know that a lot of other people out there didn't really have that type of activity. So our investment philosophy is really one of the foundations of what we do. But then it's scary. It's always communication. It doesn't matter how good shape you are in right now. There's a lot of things going on in the world. Everybody has concerns. None of them are invalid. And it's good to just, talk those through, make sure that you have a plan in place and make sure that your plan is going to be good with you to get you from point A to point B. And so those are always, and right now, communication needs to be increased. We work harder during these time periods for sure, because there's, people tend to make the wrong decisions at the worst times. And we try to keep our clients in the know so that way they can make educated decisions.
Right. What are some of the big mistakes that you are seeing clients make, and not necessarily your existing clients, but clients before they become your clients?
Yeah, I think that some of the biggest tendencies right now are to take a look at their allocation, and maybe they had too much exposure to equities. Their risk profile was not current. And while things were going well, really well last year, we get complacent. We're okay. Month after month, the statements are continuing to go up. And then when all that changes, people say, well, maybe I needed to be a little bit more conservative. Can I do that right now? And as a new client to coming into the firm from a financial planning standpoint, what we have to do is we got to take a look at what you have today and make sure your situation is in good shape. And if there's room to get more conservative or move room to make, but I think ultimately what we have to do is take a look at the current environment and your current situation and how to transition you to one, where you want to be and where you are now. Because right now it may not be the best time to make all those changes at that time. Right. You may have to do that over time. And I think there's going to be opportunities given the stock market, we would tend to believe, to potentially get people into the proper allocations. So we think that it's a more of a transitional phase. And I think that it just comes back to planning, keeping people up to date with their current plans, or making sure they have a team in place. A lot of people don't want to do that themselves, but making sure they have the proper team in place that's looking out for you, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, making sure that in good times and bad times, things are where they need to be.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely preach, make sure you have the right team to be able to help make the right plan for you. Many times, people that, I've seen is that their plan changes. Obviously we went through the pandemic and we saw a lot of 2 income earning families change to 1 income, because having to stay home with kids and things like that. How did you guys try to help? Because again, that's changing because now suddenly we don't have two paychecks coming home. We only have one, which obviously from a financial plan standpoint, that really changes things. How did you guys, go about, not what did you physically do, but reaching out? How did you guys, try to communicate more with the clients at that point?
Yeah, a couple years ago is really not a lot of difference than today, I think, because our processes are the same. In good times when things are going a little bit smoother, there probably is a little less communication, but right now we increase those frequencies. But more importantly is the processes that we use here. So every single one of our clients goes through a comprehensive planning process that we believe is really important. And you got to walk away with, and at the heart of what we do, Gary, is what we believe that if we do a good enough job, if we're dotting the I's, crossing the T's, that we can free up mental capacity in people's mind and allow them to focus on the things that really matter most to them, like family, friends, community. And you ask, well, how can you do that? Well, most people come in with questions like, how much do I need to retire?
Right.
How much should I be invested in the stock market or conservative? When can I retire? Or, these types of things. All these things kind of eat away at energy or mind capacity. And if you don't know the answers to those questions, it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to judge what you should be doing now because you don't have a real clear inline. So every single one of our clients, we know, what those numbers are, answers to these detailed questions. And ultimately, Gary, coming back to your question is, how do we handle those types of changes if I'm going from 2 incomes down to 1? Well, that's really easy. We take a look at where you are. We know exactly where you need to go. We know what time frame we're looking at, and we look into see whether or not this is going to be feasible, or we're going to have to push goals back, or there's been any other substantial changes. And we have an informed conversation, because at the end of the day, quality of life versus an overworked environment, et cetera. These are balancing situations, and maybe people want to have a higher quality of life today and they're willing to work a year or two longer, or maybe they're in good enough shape to where they can do that and no changes need to be made. These are all the things that we're going to look at, but you have to know where that end goal is. Where is that finish line for you and for your family? And so going through a comprehensive planning process. I'm a CFP. I have a team of CFPs. I have 2 other CFPs here in the office, and then through our affiliation with our broker dealer, we have a whole team of CFPs that we can outsource questions to for complexities and those types of things. So at the heart of it, Gary, is really making sure we know where we're going so we can determine the best way to get there.
So from a business aspect for you, what are some of the biggest challenges that you and your company are facing at this point?
Ever since we experienced COVID, I think a lot of companies are still looking for to fill key positions. And as we're growing and we're trying to take care of clients, and our commitment is always to our existing clients as opposed to at the expense of growing. So we always want talent and team members that are going to be very passionate about their work. So we're constantly interviewing and looking to add to our team. I think that's been an enormous challenge in the environment as the amount of applicants just seem to be fewer, et cetera. We've adapted to a virtual workplace type environment. We offer, from an employment standpoint, we've had to modify what we do for existing employees to make everything to keep and retain the talent that we have here at TLWM. So I think those are some of the bigger challenges that not only us, but it's very widespread across the economy right now.
Right. So you said you've been doing this for quite some time now. What do you know now that you wish you knew when you first started out?
I wish I knew at the time. I would love to say that at the age of 20, when I started and I took my first client on, that I had a very detailed business plan that was highly complex, and it was really built around business processes and repeatability and scalability and efficiency. But at the end of the day, when you're 20 and you're just starting out, you're taking on one person at a time, and you're making sure you take care of those people, and you're doing everything you can. Today, what I understand that is important is those same things are still the most important things, but repeatability, consistency, making sure that you can deliver for a client, whether or not they have $500,000 or they have $5 million, and making sure that when you do something, it's the same for that $5 million client as it is for the $500,000 client. And whether that's opening account or sending money out, etc. Maybe one situation needs more contact because they have more complexities involved, tax situations, estate tax situations, those types of things. But it doesn't mean that when you do one thing for the other, you don't do it for another group of people. So that's what I know today. If I would have known back when I was 20 years old, I probably would be a little bit further along. But as you develop, but I will tell you this, Gary, the one thing that led to developing those things has never changed, which is making sure that nobody falls through the cracks and that nobody's forgotten about. That's what keeps us going here at TLWM. And so because of that passion and that commitment to making sure that we're doing the best we can for clients, we did develop all these things to make sure that we're doing everything we can on our side.
Right. From a business perspective, what's the best piece of advice that anybody's ever given you?
Do not overreach, and don't speak on things that you're not expert or qualified to speak in.
Yeah, that's
I try to remember that, even in speaking to you today.
Oh yeah.
Times when there's opportunities to speak on a subject as a matter expert or whatever the case is, or whether you're having a conversation with the client, there are a lot of areas that we discuss, and a lot of areas that I'm not qualified or I know a little bit but not a lot. And so I'm the first one to try to point that out. And I think to your point, which is making sure you have the right team and the great team. And that doesn't mean, and by all means, the investment world and the economy and staying up on financial planning topics is enough for us. So we believe in outsourcing to other specialists like tax professionals, estate professionals, insurance professionals, etc. So these are the types of things that we try not to overstep on it, but we know enough to where we have to bring somebody else in.
Great. I think that is great advice, because I think there are so many people that are out there as professionals that try to do it all, from giving legal advice to tax advice to financial advice, and it all under the same hat. And I think that because I believe the same thing, and it's like, I stay in my lane and make sure that I'm giving advice on what I know that I'm the expert at. That's for sure. What covered a lot of stuff here real quick and stuff like that. What have I not asked you that you wish I had?
One of the areas that I find rather interesting in regards to our practice is not just how we've taken care of individuals, but how's our business morphed and how have you matured as a company? And ultimately, when I think of that question, we've taken how our processes of taking care of individuals, taking care of families one at a time. We've been able to develop such a repeatable process and mastering handling relationships and working with individual clients that we've now become one of our major growth initiatives is being an advocate for the retiring advisor community. And as advisors, in my position, we get entrusted just as a professional at some point, if you ever retired, et cetera. We have clients that have entrusted so much to us. And so working with an advisor, transitioning their practice and helping them, making sure they have a contingency plan if an unexpected emergency took place, or as they transition into retirement, to make sure that their clients are taken care of. So now when we think of how we can help people, it always comes back to taking care of one person at a time. And that individual is not just individual, but it's also an advisor as they transition into retirement. So that has become one of our areas of specialty, is working with advisors, consulting, making sure that their practice is ready, and making sure their clients are going to get taken care of. So at the end of the day, Gary, it always comes back to where I started, which is taking care of the individual and making sure that person is okay. But as advisors, we tend to think that we're not included. We tend to not put ourselves first because we're putting everyone else first all the time. And so we have to make sure that we don't just get to sign off and walk into retirement. We have a lot of people that really care, that we care for. And, they're not just clients, they're friends. And we're going to see them after retirement at the grocery store or in the community. And so at TLWM, we really enjoy that part of it. And it's been really fun to see our business mature into that stage and that level as we look forward to the future.
That's great. It's great to be, forward thinking like that, because many people don't, that's for sure. So, Enzo, if people have liked what they've heard and they want to reach out to you and talk to you, and possibly get help, how can they reach you?
Yeah, I think the two best ways are just pick up the phone and give us a call at 210-541-8600. You can go to our website, reach out to us through there, TLWMFinancial.com. You can find us on Facebook. We're very active on social media there as well. So we invite you through the new platforms, but as always, I think nothing replaces picking up the phone and reaching out. So feel free to shoot us an email or pick up the phone, and we'll be happy to try to help.
Great. Enzo, I really appreciate your time today. I think that what we've discussed, I think that our listeners really needed to hear that, and will help them move forward with some of their planning that they need to do.
Great, Gary. Thank you for having us on. Thank you for the opportunity, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you. This week, our guest was Enzo Pellegrino, founder and president of TLWM Financial. We'll see you guys next week.